honeymoon phase that we always talk about, but they are very, very dependent on their individuals performing very well because they didn't have enough time to practice, and they're generally not that type of a team.
Reliant on their individuals. That's kind of a similar storyline we framed for G2. Would you say there's some parallels there, Sam?
You know, I actually do think they have some good teamwork. But, you know, going back to that group stage, against NiP, this is going to be very tough for them to win a best-of-3. You know, during that group stage, I think there was, what, 2-3 overtime games they won, and then like a 14-16. So all the games were very, very, very close. Generally, that means a lot of 50-50 rounds. Maybe they were winning and came out on top in that case. So having said that, if you're asking me who might end up winning this, I think NiP has a pretty big edge here, especially based off the maps that we're going to be seeing, because NiP is absolutely going to remove Mirage. That's their normal veto, and that is Immortals' probably best map.
So you're already giving NiP the edge. I think that's the same vibe as we had when we were coming into the first quarterfinal. SK, no doubt, the favorites. Already you're suggesting maps could be pretty up in the air, as were some of the results in the group stage. Yanko, we'll bring up the vetoes now just to get that said and done, and then we can start talking more specifics. But for you, are these bans, these two initial bans, kind of crystal clear?
I think pretty much. I think Immortals will have to veto Nuke because NiP is pretty strong. And they've shown that they are willing to play Nuke here and there, but they haven't really shown much on the map. So after that, I agree. NiP will veto Mirage. That's their go-to veto. So when it comes to picks, it depends. I'm guessing that Immortals will go for something like Cobblestone. I mean, they can't really pick a map where they will have a big edge over NiP. Cobblestone is a good map for NiP as well. So yeah, the vetoes are there. And then NiP, they can go for a map like Cache, that was their comfort pick, but I would prefer them to go perhaps for a map like Overpass. That's something that doesn't suit Immortals that much, and NiP can have a bigger edge there.
No, I absolutely agree. I think NiP, we might see them go Cache here, but I think the smarter play is to go for Overpass. Right. Immortals has shown good performances on Cache, and that might be their pick right now if NiP doesn't pick it. I would say they're... Ooh. Oh, so they do go with Cobble, and NiP goes with Dust too. So,
so throw that out the window.
Yeah. I mean, interesting, out of all the maps, you go for Dust 2, which is a puggy map. Even if you're not practiced on it as much, you can always go down to and play your spawns and do simple stuff, right? Rely on aim duels and such. So I'm surprised. I would have preferred if they went for a map like Overpass, because that's where you can utilize your team play, which I think NiP has more than Immortals at the moment, and you can use that to your advantage.
And another thing is, I just don't think Immortals Overpass is as good as their other maps. I think we might see a ban here from it. But, you know, I think this is interesting map picks. Immortals on Cobble, I think that's fine for them.
I think for them, it's the toss-up between, you know, that being their best map, and it's going to annoy me that I can't remember the other one, the one that they...
Mirage.
Mirage, thank you, excuse me, it was banned out. But like, statistically, it was Cobble. I spoke to them. They are convinced it's Mirage. I'd like to see how this one does go out, and it does look like we're going to be seeing Train as the third. Immortals were given the choice, though. You said it doesn't suit their playstyle. NiP relentlessly banning Cache now. This is just becoming a running trend now. They've stepped away from that being the comfort NiP pick.
The thing is, when you play a map as much as NiP does, and when you're good on it as they are on Cache, then teams start figuring you out. And you don't practice the map as much because you're winning, right? You're focusing on getting other maps, being stronger on other maps, becoming better on them. So they maybe feel that they need to introduce new things on Cache, and they'd rather avoid it for now.
We did get to see Cobblestone from Immortals in the group stages up against G2. We can see some of the damage that they did do, given a 16-4 result. It was very overwhelming walking through the French side on a map that they have. They had a lot of, I mean, I don't want to say hair-raising defenses, but they just kind of, G2 crashed against the wall that was the Brazilians at this point, Sam.
Well, Immortals on Cobble is one of the quickest rotating teams you will ever see. They rotate extremely fast out of B into A, and likewise going from A into B. They try to fight you as a team when you actually hit the site, and Henny has been very, very impressive on Cobble. I talked a little bit about it in the group stage. This is the map that they won 16-4. Every other map in the group stage was extremely close, overtime 16-14s. But Henny has been very impressive on this map because he's able to get the information early and still be able to fall back now. Before, in earlier iterations of Immortals, and just even going back 6 months ago, Henny would fight. He'd be a liability for his team around there, and now we're seeing him playing a lot smarter. And I'm telling you, this is something that NiP doesn't have. They do not have an opera like Henny who could just change rounds by himself.
But my question to you is it necessary? We have seen rosters in the past not have a primary AWP and find success. I will always use Virtus Pro as an example, but I mean, it's throughout the history of CSGO, you don't always need that star form in the form of an AWP.
Not necessarily. I mean, it certainly helps. It allows you it allows for more options in your play, right? You can utilize that AWP to create openings. But I think that Henny will have a much more difficult task against NiP because they're a more structured team. They have a lot of strategies. They make great use of their utility, which will make it way, way harder for him to just have straight aim tools, right? He will have to play around smokes, flashes, all of that stuff. So I think that this will be a true test for Immortals here.
No, sorry, go Sam.
Going back to what you said about having like a great hopper who's just going to put up 40s, it's definitely not necessary in order to win a tournament or anything, but it always gives you like a win condition, right? Whenever you have an hopper like Kenny S or something, like Kenny S, you could put him with 4 pretty mediocre tournaments. They could still beat like a #1 team at times just because he could go off at times.
Right. The Titan vibe, where you see 40 bombs being dropped and just a 16-14 result at the end of it. Now, yes, Henny does have that star potential, but what I want to ask you now is less talking about individuals, but actually just more of a generic question. They've played 2 maps in total. NiP and Immortals meet very, very rarely. It was actually the big win for Immortals, which kind of put them on the map over at DreamHack. I remember that one in the grand final, in front of a home crowd, besting the Swedish favorites. So that was a big pickup for the Brazilians. But you played 2 maps offline against each other. How much does that influence it? I mean, when you have, you know, your Na'Vi VP or your El Clasico matchups that we do see all too often, this is very far away from that, Yanko. My question to you is, does that have a difference when it comes into results and it comes into the way the game goes?
It does. It's not just about the team, that you don't play the team. You don't even play the players as much, right? So obviously, being from different regions, like the players in Europe played against each other so many times that you actually know, like Getright, for example, I know that he also studies tendencies of players in certain positions where he's going to have a duel with them. So he knows, like, if they throw a smoke, where they like to stand. And you don't really study a team that you don't meet that often, like Immortals here. But even with that, Immortals have had a roster change, so it would still be pretty hard to, just get a very, very good read on them because they're doing a lot of things on the fly.
And just final thoughts then, before the players do walk out on stage, anything to add to that discussion, Dazed?
Yeah, as you said, one of the things about Immortals, though, is they have pretty unique players. I think Henny and Phelps play a very different play style, especially Phelps, with how aggressive he could be. It's very hard to game plan for, so when you don't play against players like them, sometimes it could be troublesome. Having said that, NiP, so much experience on their team, I don't think they're going to be surprised by anything that Immortals pulls out.
Well, they're certainly going to be surprised by the amount of noise the North American crowd is about to make, because it is time for our second quarterfinal teams to meet the Oracle Arena. It's over to OJ to get these guys in their seats.
Thank you very much, Alex. Yes, he just said the word noise as we head into our second quarterfinal here on our first day in Oakland at the Intel Extreme Masters. So then, Oakland, are you ready? Now you see, I did this big old hype thing earlier on where I said to you that one of the best crowds I've ever been in front of, one of the best and loudest crowds ever. So, Oakland, are you ready? Damn right you're ready. So let's get on with our second quarterfinal. This is for the chance to play FaZe in the semis tomorrow. It is the new guard versus the old guard. So please welcome to the stage, the Immortals. Look at that face. Pure concentration on his face. It comes out. Steel, I mentioned you as the new guard. Do you feel like that at the moment? You're this up-and-coming team. You seem to be going on to do good things.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, but not actually close to a god, you know? God is something like falling from SK. I'm just getting there.
Well, how much do you take from what SK have achieved? Because they have just been so good over the past 12 months. You could say the best team in the world. They are from the same country as you. What are you taking from them?
Yeah, they are our role models. They are our inspiration. They are our idols. So they are pretty much everything for us.
Watching your interview earlier on, you talked about doing new things, trying new ideas, trying to come up with a new meta. What are those new things you're trying to do?
Actually, at the moment, we are just plugging. We are just like going free for all, and we're gonna use the skill that these boys have.
And talk me through how you take on a team like NiP. If you're the new guard, they're the old guard. They've been around so long. They've won so much. How do you take them on?
It's gonna be a pleasure to play there in front of this beautiful crowd.
Look at that. That is how you hype a crowd. Put your hands together for Steel and the Immortals. He's so laid back. It's the Brazilian way, Samba CS. So they need to take on a team. I called them the old guard. They have a member with them. It's a new lineup, first tournament as this lineup. Please welcome to the stage, NiP. You see, if we're talking about laid back, you feel laid back. I called you the old guard. Is that how it feels?
I don't know. I mean, we've been around for a long time, but we're still hungry to win, so.
Still hungry to win. And Pitt is now part of this team. This is the first tournament with him in the lineup. How's he settling in?
I mean, he's a good player, and we've missed him a lot. He's an important player in our team. He's a very tactical guy. He knows all the smokes we need him to know, and he's important.
Was it difficult? Makalele did so well when he came in during that injury break. Was it difficult for him to gel with the team, knowing what had gone before him?
I don't think so. I mean, we all like Merciless as well. We played with him before, and he's a really explosive player, and I think he did a great job for us.
And listening to the analysts before, they said you don't play cash anymore. Why no more cash?
We're saving it for the major.
Saving it for the major. And if they're talking about doing new things, trying new things, coming up with a new meta, is that what you're doing as well?
Not really.
Fine, fair enough then. Well, listen, time to take your place over there. This is our second quarterfinal here at the Intel Extreme Masters. Remember, it is a share of $300,000, and that silver trophy, the plate behind me that they are playing for, the winner of this goes on to take on the FaZe Clan. So let's get this on. Oakland, if you're ready, give me a yeah! Give me a hell yeah! Give me a goddamn hell yeah! I love it! Machine, on the Xfinity desk, it's over to you.
OJ, you sound like a preacher up there.
Actually, Exist is his favorite person right now.
It seems.
He loves those interviews.
He loves those answers where he's just like, okay, never mind, I tried. Fun fact about that plate, by the way, before we do close things out, it's got every single Intel Extreme Masters event carved into it, all the way from 2006 right up until today here in Oakland. And we'll be finding out who's going to lift it. First, they have to win the quarterfinal. Whether it will be the Brazilians or NiP, we'll find out. But the first map is Dust 2, and that's where we spend the remainder of our time here talking about. We did just see one side of SK's Dust 2, and in the interview, Sam, we saw basically Steel saying, they are our idols, we base a lot of our play around them. Are there genuinely similarities between SK and Immortals in that regard?
Oh, absolutely. I think anytime, first off, just playing against them all the time, you're going to take things that you think are good that they do and work for them and try to adapt it into your own play style. And not only that, when you're trying to improve, oftentimes you look at the best teams in the world and try to take from them as well. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of similarities.
Saving cash for the major, Yanko. How much do you think that's
not?
That's definitely not legit, right? Just clarifying.
No, they first have to play the qualifiers. So NiP, if you remember, they lost to Flipside in that decider game and lost their legend spot. But yeah, seeing as how they played Dust 2 first, and you could hear it in Steel's interview as well, that they want to, let their individuals basically go ham, and Dust 2 is a perfect map for that. And I feel it's a, in a sense, a must-win map for them. I feel if it gets to train, that's where NiP will be able to close things out, even if it's 1-1. So actually, for Immortals to win here, it probably has to be a 2-0.
Okay, you mirror those thoughts, Sam, that train is a no-go for Immortals? It has to be a Dust 2, and it has to be a Cobblestone?
I actually kind of do. I think, their chances on train are pretty slim. Train's a very solid train, or NiP is a very solid train team, and we haven't really seen much from Immortals on train. Having said that, I think it's very, very NiP-sided right now. A lot of the wins that we have been seeing from Immortals, I think in order for them to beat a real tier 1, like really, really good team in a best of 3 like NiP, they probably have to have like a Mirage in there, which I think they could be anybody on. Unfortunately, that's going to be removed for them. And NiP is so solid on all these maps. And once you get a feel for how the Immortals is going to play, if Henny's over peaking and maybe it works one map, it might not work the next because they're going to be ready for it. Same with Phelps. If his over aggression is going to work and that's how they win one of the maps, I don't think that's going to work on the upcoming map as well.
Something to consider is that, just going to your Mirage point for a moment, that we did see Na'Vi versus Immortals on Mirage, and that was the big win for Immortals, is taking Na'Vi down a peg in the group stage. They also played Dust 2, which is what they're actually going to have to do, versus Astralis, and conceded that. Now, Janko, Astralis are no slouch on Dust 2, surely taking 15 rounds versus the Danes, who at one point or another you described as being one of the best Dust 2 teams. Surely that gives us a good sign of things to come for the Immortals.
I mean, they can definitely put up a good fight. Also, when you look at the map itself, Dust 2 is a map where actually an opper can do a lot of work. And then Sam was pointing out that NiP doesn't have an explosive opper like Henny. Yes, Pith and Forest both, they pick up the op, depending like Pith on the CT side towards that A bomb site most likely. But that's a type of a, Smith style where he's passive towards the car area, trying to get a kill or two, then they're going to play for the retake. Henny is a player who can be, boosted up cat. He can hunt for those kills, try to create an opening, and that's basically what Immortals will have to try and do. That is their win condition, like put their star players in a position to succeed, to try and create those openings.
So it's all, you're suggesting that it comes down to a lot of putting Henny and Phelps in the right place. Am I acknowledging the 2 right names there for Immortals as stars?
Yeah, I mean, but Phelps, honestly, he's like, it's so weird seeing him because he's manages to sneak through like in a perfect position through a smoke, even walking through his own smokes. So basically he puts himself in good positions.
Right. Doesn't even need a team around him.
But having said that, the way Phelps does it a lot of the time, I just think stylistically, the way that NiP plays, if you ever play against like a Get Right and a Forest and an Exist, it's a lot of the time very hard to surprise them with things like that. They're usually ready for it, especially someone like Get Right. So I don't know if Phelps is going to be able to have that same success that we saw him, with that in the group stage. Having said that, when you talk about big games, a lot of the time Phelps doesn't have the biggest statistical games, but he gets huge impact kills. Like just that one kill really can shape up the round because it's so crucial and impactful. And if he's not able to get that, I think the dominoes start falling down really fast for Immortals.
A lot of weight then on the Immortals' shoulders. It does seem like we've quite appropriately framed them as the underdog here. The question then for me is, what do NiP do right on Dust 2? You talked before about a very flexible CT setup from the previous game. Is that something that we're going to be seeing NiP adopt? Is that the way forward for a successful defense on Dust 2?
I mean, for most teams, yes. For NiP, I don't think it is necessarily like that because I don't know how much they're going to be moving Pith around too much. And a lot of the time when you talk about a dynamic CT setup, that's what you talk about. You mainly talk about the op, moving from position to position to position. NiP historically have been one of the Dust 2 teams that is just like so solid at every individual holding their spots. So I'm not sure if we'll see as much movement as we have seen with like SK players, for instance.
And the big question, I know you don't do them, Janko, and you've outlined the win conditions, but just your last final nugget of thought for NiP coming into Immortals on Dust 2.
I disagree with their pick. I would have preferred it way more if they picked Overpass or even Train earlier. Cash, all of those maps I think would have been a better choice for them than Dust 2. That being said, them picking it obviously means that they have something in store. There's a reason why they decided to go for that map over others, and I just think their preparation and their routine in general will be enough to overcome Immortals here.
It's time for our second quarterfinal. Right, thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate your input. The scene has been set by these guys to my left. After a very short break, it's Dust 2, the first map of our second quarterfinal. Will the Immortals underdogs continue to show what Brazilian CS is made of, or will it be NiP who picked up that first map win and one step closer to meeting FaZe? Find out in just a moment.
Intel Extreme Masters Oakland is brought to you in part by Intel, HyperX, G Fuel, Kingwin, iBuyPower, Best Buy, Totino's, Acer, and Xfinity.
Hello, Oakland. Yes, we're ready to go. Our second quarterfinal. And of course, we've got the Legends NiP against a team on the rise, a team rebuilding. A week ago, both these teams, in fact, had different rosters. I say a week ago, but it was about 2.5 weeks ago, truthfully, at Pro League, when Michael Lilly was still on board, and Zeus was in, not Steel. He's reuniting with Bolts, and Immortals takes a step forward.
Immortals looked flat at Pro League Finals, but I think this lineup, bringing Steel in, someone who's got a huge skill ceiling there. They seem like they've got their flamboyance back, that Brazilian flair, and that's what they were missing completely at Pro League Finals. They said they're playing a looser style now, and it's paying dividends. You can see what a fantastic group stage they've had, 4-1. The only weakness they showed was on Dust 2 against Astralis, and I guess that's why NiP have brought this to the table. They looked so strong across the board and everything else. They did lose to Astralis in overtime, though. This is why this map pool, do you know what? As much as it hurts me to say, I feel like Immortals are my favored pick in this best of 3. Dust 2. If NiP don't pick this up, I just don't see a world where they can beat Immortals on Cobble.
Interestingly enough as well, the last time, I say the last time, they've played each other a few times since, but last time we saw them on a stage playing against each other was DreamHack Summer.
That's right.
Different lineups again, but it was actually Immortals that managed to steal that tournament away from NiP and actually win the finals there in the middle of summer. Good pick at the start from Pith. That's through mid doors on Dust with the USP. He goes low, and GetRight's going to follow it up to take down Henny. That's a brilliant start from NiP.
The unsilenced USP as well, why not? Bring it out, and it's going to be the first 2 picks. You're absolutely right, but some damage has been inflicted by the terrorists here. Bolt's trying to recover the fallen comrades as he goes towards the long doors. Actually going to find the frag as well. GetRight goes down. Low HP for 3 players now remaining on NiP, but still with the man advantage.
Spread out across the map. Low HP, exactly as you say, with 3 players. Forrest is the one on 100. He's toward mid, making sure they don't rotate back through, trying to spot top middle. They haven't committed to long just yet, but if they were to go fast before Forrest could rotate, they could actually capitalize on this.
They still have a smoke as well available, so they can actually cross over if they wanted to. So they're going to be holding on to long. There's still a minute remaining. Lucas is gathering information. He's cleared the car position as well. We have Freiburg waiting on the A site. Here comes the play. Smoke and spawn, and Freiburg nailing that first shot, though.
That's a big kill to get. Bit of a gap in that smoke won't be utilized because Forrest is elected to rotate onto Catwalk. Wants the close position. In fact, he's going to go toward long. Freiburg's doing the work himself, though. Another quick kill into Steel. Bolts finds him in return, but now we watch the flank come through because the low HP players are together toward Cat, and Forrest is about to peek out just at the corner as Bolts gets around. This should allow a full plant. They won't be able to wrap back through toward Quad fast enough to do anything of it. Low HP needs to find the shots, but Forrest again makes his presence known, and he'll hit it from afar.
Nice round of the Ninjas, very calculated towards the end. You can see, yes, it was a 3-on-1. They could have gone for the deny of the plant, but at that point, they've got low HP. It'd been a bit of a risk. Make him plant, make him be out of position. At that point, they can strike and pincer together. It works very nicely. Forrest finishes things off there, but like he said, the majority of the work done by Freiburg. And great pick to the start of the round as well. It's very rare for a player from CT Spawn to pick those mid doors and find a kill in CT Spawn. It can happen, but it's a great start to a round. It's going to be NiP picking up the first one here. Bomb goes down to Immortals. You would assume it will be the force buy in the 3rd round. You can force in this one if you want to. A lot of teams like to throw it in here and there, but it looks like they'll be going with the more standard meta here. It's going to be a couple of Desert Eagles, some PD-50s, 1 flashbang, and a smoke. The options here, basically, you want to be trying to get the bomb down any way you can. Most teams will go towards short, you smoke the catwalk area, flash over, and try and force out some shots from the CTs. But interesting enough, Immortals going towards the B tunnels. Maybe they've got something else up their sleeve as we go into this eco round for them, and NiP trying to hold off and keep as many players alive as possible.
Forward toward the lower tunnels as well for Immortals to clear it, push them back. No aggressive play from NiP, there's not required.
Yeah, he's trying to keep as many players as they can alive. Pitt, you would assume he's going to be the AWPer, just has a PT-50 in hand, so he's trying to keep his money stronger. He wants to make sure he stays alive, keeps the armor, but here we go. The mid play comes in. GetRight going to be receiving players first. They drop the incendiaries at the right time. They know it's a B play coming in at this point.
And GetRight's going to go. We saw him set up that bounce flash. He manages to get in position, finds 2, turns back, gets Phelps as well on the edge of the smoke. Forrest steps up to find Phelps. Actually, I take that back. It looked like it was GetRight that got the shot, but Bolts has 1 on Freiburg. Problem is he doesn't have a bomb. That's on the other side of all 4 opponents, over toward the B site. So pretty straightforward end to this round. M4 tantalizingly close to him, though, at the bottom of Elevator.
No way of getting that. I think the CTs know it's available. So at this point, yeah, Bolt's trying to get the 1 dig in CT Spawn. Can't find it. Exists, finds the final frag there. You can see what Immortals are trying to build up. They've got some vision out towards the mid doors, but NiP in a very passive hold, having the utility on their side. They have some SMGs there, so an incendiary on the B doors, and then GetRight pushes through the smoke at the perfect time there. Mows them down with that UMP. But this is where things really get interesting now. This is going to be the force bite from Immortals. Yeah, 4 AKs and a scout, interesting enough, on Henny.
And this is a good read from NiP to leave Pith on the pistol as a result, because they do bring out the AWP right away. They keep the 2 SMGs, but with the 2 early rifles, and now that sniper onto Pith, it counters this early buy quite well. And it answers the question is what we talked about it with Forrest previously when Pith was in the lineup. He was the one that took the op most of the time.
Yes.
So far this weekend, it has been Pith, so this is a bit of a change compared to even his previous tenure with them.
Well, and this scout is going to be a bit of a problem. Henny, definitely the sniper of the team. It's not ideal, but you certainly can do some impactful shots there, and that's one of them. Forest goes down to 20 HP here. Problem is for Immortals right now, only have 2 smokes. Execution potential isn't really there. They need to rely on these early picks here. They're doing damage, but they're yet to find a frag at this point.
Pit needs to be a little bit careful of trying to re-peek on that as well. We saw how quickly Henny took a shot into Forest. There's 2 other players waiting in positions that if he overcommits to the peak, could capitalize on damage. Like very different angles as well. It would be hard for Pit to react. Lucas instead goes to Xbox, clears coast corner on the smoke, and he's going to start to set up a catwalk presence. If they can establish that, they can start to execute. But in the way of execution, they've only got 2 smokes. Make that 1. Bolts has just thrown his. So this is looking more likely to go out with a mid-B split, single smoke. They have pulled the player out of the B site just in time to bring the bomb toward the mouth of the tunnel. This could be actually very timely for Immortals.
Yeah, this is actually perfect. If they go into the B side now, this is going to work out. Existo, he's feeling something is going wrong on his side of the map. He's going to be there at the B doors. Hasn't got back up from middle as well, so he's in a really difficult position right now.
Exist in a difficult position as well. Bit curious of this smoke on the mouth. I think it was intended to be bounced further, so they only have to check closet on the way through, but they hold up till it dissolves. Exist is out of the site. Hard position to be in. Going to try and catch them crossing. Nate was drawn. In fact, Bolts was going for the jump. Still managed Steel to pull the kill back and get the bomb down. No kill from NiP as a result. They're well and truly removed from the B site. 2 going to rotate back toward mid and into T spawn. They've got kits on all 4, so they will have time if they can find a pick early, but these rotations are going to cost them about 10 seconds of bomb downtime. Good play from Get Right. Walk back in mid, take down Lucas. That's the lurk play, trying to catch off rotations. Forest is low, but he can play himself as a martyr, but I think they're just going to set for exits.
Yeah, I don't think they can do anything about this. They are so far removed from that situation. They took a bit of a gamble towards the A site. We had Pit at the start of the round going for those all picks there. He showed his hand towards that side of the map, and he's trying to dummy them and funnel them back towards the A site. Doesn't work out for them. Get Right trying to do what he can towards the end of this round. Takes Steel down, but he will be losing that AK-47. This is the first round for Immortals there. Pretty simple, like we said, not much execution potential there. Just to note, 2 more players went down, so only Henny survived. That's actually kind of a big deal, considering NiP have saved an AWP, and M4 and Forest for the UMP as well. So NiP have a lot of reset potential here going forward.
Yeah, Steel with $0.
Double AWP setup as well. This is interesting. We said Pit is going to be the main AWPer, but Forest, no slouch of the diva. It's probably the strongest setup you can have on Dust 2.
And Forest didn't really, I was trying to look at the spawns to see what we would get. Pit had a fast one for A-Long. He's already at the corner. Good flashes over, pushes him back. Forest tried to hold off mid to get information because he didn't have one for B. Flashback through. Bit of an overcommitment from Get Right. Gets taken down as Phelps made it into the pit. They weren't aware of the fact that he was there. So a good pickup from him. That's going to be the first kill in the way of Immortals. They've established a presence at long, and Bolts is going to capitalize. Strike while the iron's hot, while they're still distracted at long. Through the smoke, Forest goes down as well. On to Carr, and Bolts with a triple entry. Drops down, looks for the 4th, but Exist. He can salvage a little bit of pride by finding that kill, maybe an AK as well, but the round is gone.
Absolutely. What a fantastic play there from Bolts. A classic A split coming in. All the attention from the CTs taken towards long, and Bolts just walks his way up towards short, helps himself to 3 frags there. NiP can't do anything about it. It all starts off with Get Right maybe being a bit overzealous there towards long. I feel like he didn't have the backup. He flashes through. Thought he had 2 players available on a plate, but didn't account for anyone in the pit there. So it's going to be Exist remaining. Finds 1. Just trying to stay alive at this point. It's almost impossible, and the C's know exactly where he is. They'll plant the bomb. At this point, Exist is trying to take as many players down as he can with him.
Exactly where he is. Sit, hold, no need to overcommit. Because this time, you mentioned the reset potential coming in. It's actually going to be NiP that's broken entirely. Exactly. They won't be able to save the ops. Yeah, but 1 AK versus the money that they want to try and build up. Is it worth it? Well, it doesn't matter. They're going to find it anyway. Lucas holds the angle. They'll all get away cleanly. Bomb's not going to detonate before the end of the round. 2-2, and they've got the advantage now.
Well, there it is. This is the replay right now. What a fantastic shot that was. You can see Pit, that's not a great position for an AWP player. It's a lot of pressure to hit that initial shot. Bolt blows his head off, finds 2 more as well. NiP can't do anything about that. So there it is. Like he said, another eco now for NiP this time, though. He's going to have 1 PD50, 4 USPs. Nothing really invested in this round whatsoever. It's almost redundant at this point. It'd be shocking for Immortal to give away more than 1 frag at this point. This kind of buy with 4 silenced USPs, not going to amount to too much. NiP do have a buy next round, so they're fine with this. They'll see what they can do. If they can find a kill or 2, that'd be amazing. But it's very unlikely at this point.
Quick check toward Cat. Bolts is in the right position for this. Nate as well is going to do decent. Maybe not.
A little bit. A tickle.
Yep. Just a little bit. Gets behind the stairwell. Pit's able to get away, but Bolts does wrap back around the corner too. Quick kills for him. Another good entry this time. Not up against weaponry, so it was pretty straightforward. Steel finds Exist. Freiburg salvages something with the USP, but it's going to be 4 players left. Up, just 1 now remaining. Freiburg for NiP, and he tries to go gun hunting and gets caught out by Phelps.
Yeah, as we kind of painted it before the round started, 1 kill for NiP. It's pretty much as good as it's going to get that sort of buy. But now, yes, they do have the weaponry once again. It's going to be the AWP in the hands of Pitt once more. He tried to go to the B side once again. The thing about Dust 2 is you've got lots of options to start the round and go for those first picks. Maybe towards long doors, boost up towards short, that's quite common. Or even having the audacity to face those mid doors sometimes and challenge the terrorists there. But it looks like Immortals using the long spawns here. Lucas leading the charge. Flashbangs go over. This first frag to be very important indeed.
Gear sponsoring Freiburg. We'll be pleased to see his name show up in the obituary once more as he gets a headshot on Lucas, controls the long position. So that's where they lost it in the most previous gun round. Round number 5, round 6 starts off with them winning it. Bomb's going to be left at top mid. They've got to search elsewhere for an opening pick, and they've left an anchor inside of the B tunnels this time, which hasn't been standard to their default. Bolts is just waiting to see if there'll be any aggression, of which it shouldn't be required after finding that first pick.
Well, there it was. Dust 2 is one of the few maps in the map pool right now with spawns. Actually very promising for terrorists there, but Freiburg, he has the balls to cross over, I guess, towards the pit area and managing to find that first frag. It's a difficult maneuver to take, especially by yourself, but he manages to make it work. Goes down to 46 HP, gets a man advantage for the Ninjas here, and it looks like a potential B play coming in from Immortals. Going to be walking through this initial smoke, possibly jumping off the box on the right and seeing whether they can find an opening kill on towards Exist.
Phelps wants through. No back turns, 2 flashes available to them if they wanted to try and get them directly in so he can rush, but instead they're going to wait to throw them toward the window. Instead, quick pop flash in below them, wrap around toward the closet, but Forrest shuts them down. 2 quick kills for him. They found Exist, but Forrest gets away as well. Goes low, 12 HP. This calls for the rotation. Get Right's already on the box, and Phelps, they don't have any further utility. Great shot from Get Right. There will be no crossing over cleanly. Henny on an AWP, that's going to be worth saving. There's no one back toward the tunnels. He could try and get away on this. 24 seconds, but he's pretty committed. He's pretty deep in, and I'm sure he'll anticipate that someone's holding his exit, so he's got to commit, try and find a kill at least. Bomb down would be beneficial to the team, but they're only going to be on the first round of a loss bonus. It won't do much.
It's pretty much impossible to get the bomb down, though. He wants to die after the time at this point. He knows he's going down, but okay, then Forrest makes things interesting, Henny, but like I said, had he died after, if he died after the time, that's a real problem. He gets no money going forward. He knows he's done for at that point. So just tries to make something happen, takes 1 down with him. I think we have a slight technical pause here, Matt. So we can kind of talk about the ideas and approaches that Immortals have brought to the table so far. They said in their pre-interview they're quite a loose team now. Dust 2 is perfect for that. It doesn't necessarily need execution. It's going to be down to gut feelings and just working as a tight unit. And we've seen some pretty basic approaches from Immortals so far. They have a very talented roster, and they rely on just basic flashbangs, a couple of smokes, and just trying to get in there and out-aim their opponents. It works initially when they go towards the B side, taking Exist down, but Forrest, a true legend, he comes through the B doors there, finds 2 headshots, and pretty much secures the round by himself.
And how quickly the momentum turns in terms of economy as well, because we just talked about finally Immortals breaking them down quite quickly, getting the advantage. Well, they just lost an op inside the B site that instantly lends itself to a double op because they grab it on the NiP side. That's for free. If they win this next round, they're actually going to have a full round in hand again already. So it's swinging quite quickly in this game.
Beautiful mustache in there, Get Right.
Almost
as strong as yours.
I'd say it's stronger.
Yeah.
It's better than when he said he was going to participate, I laughed and said, Get Right, you're good at Counter-Strike. I'm not sure facial hair is your thing, but he's proved me wrong.
He certainly has. He's put me to shame.
But that's not hard.
Well,
I think yours suits you.
It's getting there. I've had a few compliments today.
I think my sister could draw a better one with a pencil.
We'll get back into this one then, shall we? It's equal things up at 3-3. It's a double AWP setup for the Ninjas this time. And he has got the AWP himself, though. So that's why he's happy to go in that last round. He had money available to go forward into round number 7 here. More of a default this time for Immortals, not using the spawns available to them to try and take a fast take towards the long doors. There's going to be more based around smoking the corner, flashing over, and trying to take the challenge in that sense.
Smoke after the flames. No entry for bolts. That additional utility as well will lend itself to allowing Get Right to start to rotate away from that double stack position at long. Gives Pith the better position on the first AWP. The interesting part of it is they've put the corner smoke out to isolate the second player in B who's trying to watch mid, usually from window or just outside double doors. As such, Exist is locked inside CT, and they can't rotate him back across. So they're playing a 4-1, but it may not matter. Freiburg, he wins the duel at long once more. Spray through from Get Right, anticipating the push. It's Exist waiting on Firebox as well. Both in prime positions, and Henny, he's creeping into very dangerous territory, trying desperately to find an opening over toward the B site. As I mentioned, there is a drop position. I was going to say Exist on that box. There's a drop potential to come through from Lucas. He could try and catch them, but it's Get Right instead that spots him. Far too overextended, and Lucas His position now doesn't really matter in this because they'll be able to trade him quite quickly. Should be able to find Get Right. Does.
Free?
I say trade because he doesn't go around the corner. That was for free, so Get Right a little bit unaware in that position.
It doesn't really matter at this point. You can see Immortals with a very pick-heavy mentality going into this round. They're not really allowing themselves to do a full defo. Everyone's got to just facing angles and hoping they win the duels at that point. 25 seconds remaining. Freiburg locks them down towards the long doors pretty much single-handedly there. He's standing in the open, going toe-to-toe with the Brazilians there. Finds 2 kills to open things up, and the round fell apart at that point. I think we had another kill coming in from Get Right from CT Spawn. He was found from short, but at this point, the terrorists are going to try and save these AKs. Got a Molotov and a flashbang to save as well, and I'll just be sitting in T-Spawn. The problem is we have got one player in the form of Freiburg, maybe looking to push those long doors by himself. Obviously, he thinks against it as he picks up the AK-47. So 2 players will survive here for Immortals. We normally talk about this mentality from NiP, allowing their opponents to save weapons, to force out situations where the terrorists think, well, we've got 2 AKs here. Why don't we force into this one? We've got a little bit of money left over. Then you can break their economy further. It's very unlikely they'll win those rounds. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Saving 2 AKs, buying 3 Tech 9s. They've got some smokes and stuff. So he's still heavily favored the Ninjas, but Immortals with a slight chance here. They always want to bait these force buys in by allowing them to save weapons.
Quick flashes. They're going to go on this fast in with Tech 9s, trying to take advantage of movement mechanics, but the fast Molotov out from Freiburg. Better still, he's blinded up in the pit. So too is Phelps. Can't find him in return. And a bounce nade went out to try and do damage. He only goes down to 60, but look at the second Molotov. Massive damage. Henny's on 28 before he even gets inside of the position he wants to achieve. In fact, he was retreating back toward T-spawn. Lucas does finally take down Freiburg, but that's the additional support coming in from NiP, rotating down that long corridor. Bolts will get inside a pit. But speaking of pit, it's Pith on the A site with an AWP that can cover him off.
So the thing is now, yes, we have long control, not so much anymore. Bolts goes down with a headshot there at Pit. But the problem is, I was going to say, they don't have grenades to really do anything with this situation. Now it is a 4-on-2. Very unlikely they can actually get to a bomb at this point. Pit's in a fantastic position. You'd assume the other CTs will start rotating now, hunting for information towards middle, perhaps. I think we have got Exist pushing that position as well. So Lucas has to rely on his aim at this point, walk up and take a challenge. And does he rise to the occasion? Finds the headshot on Pit there.
And catches off the rotations right now back toward Catwalk, so he's able to cross for free onto the A site. Problem is he's not the one with the bomb. This will be a throw. And no, Days, not the throw that you're familiar with. It's the bomb across.
Oh, the crowd didn't like that, Matt. Come on.
We're all friends here. Still mates, of course. Camaraderie's alive. This will be a plant for long as well. Henny's on platform. Good low HP pick on Get Right. This brings it back down to a 2 versus 2. There are kits involved on both NiP players, and it's a tight plant for that platform. Position it long, but Henny's gone back in the pit, at least for now. He won't peek until required, and Lucas should just sit inside of the boxes to attain information in this position. And they're both going to attack the 2 positions covered off. Exist needs to win this duel against Henny, who's waiting. Who's shuffled back down. He does. That's the post plant covered off. But Lucas has to go aggressive, and he gets caught by Forrest in doing so.
Tighter than it had to be, I would say. It was Pit in a strong position. Like we said, it was going to be Henny coming to that A site and trying to do what he can in terms of the aim. AK-47 comes to fruition, finds a headshot. They get a bomb down in a 4-on-2. It's actually pretty impressive. It was pretty sloppy start with the vision to the star here. Freiburg doing a lot of damage. That initial incendiary finds Steel, and I'm very surprised it came down to a 2-on-2 in the end. It is going to be NiP taking the round eventually, but I think another tactical pause this time, so that's fine. You obviously have them available to you now, 30 seconds to kind of calculate yourself. Like we said, they force one down a previous round, the bomb goes down. I think we're at a 3rd stage loss bonus at the moment. So that's $2,400 going into their bank accounts of Immortals to decide how they approach this one. Did they go for a partial buy? They're currently sat on about the 3.5K mark each. I don't think they'll be fully investing. Just going to get some Tech 9, some body armor, maybe a few grenades. Once again, make their way towards shore and get that bomb down and try and boost their chances going forward. But NiP starting to increase the gap now, 5-3. And I think they still have the double orb set up here. I might be wrong. I think Pitt is just going to be on the single orb this time and Forrest on the M4A4. But we do have a lot of utility available here for the Immortals. You can see 4 smokes, a couple of flashbangs. We haven't seen much execution-based play from them yet, Matt. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they experimented that now with the Tech 9s. They know they have seen the double orb set up. The best way to counter those is use the smoke grenades and the flashbangs to try and get them out of position and overwhelm them.
So Phelps and Bolt's going to sit with Henny over toward B. No presence toward Catwalk this time from Immortals. They've been getting shut down quite regularly on that A site. It's been long where they've had most of their success. To be fair, Cat executions haven't really come through in the fashion we're used to seeing.
Yeah, this is the looser gameplay we talk about with Immortals. They're just trying to default, work as a team. There's basic fundamentals, good fundamentals, and actually have superior firepower, but it hasn't really come in yet. Sometimes you need to fall back to those executions to actually take the orbs out of the game. It can be very difficult to challenge them, especially if your money's not really rolling for you in the way that you need it to. So round number 9. looking like a potential beast player here. We have the bomb in the tunnels right now with 3 players being there. 2 smokes remaining. That classic smoke they've been using time and time again. And Forrest, he's going to sneaking into the corner here. A great position to lock this down. There will be flashes coming in. If he can dodge those and actually get the spray down to full effect, could be interesting. Still have 2 terrorists outside long, so presumably they're going to try and sell some sort of fake here on that side of the map.
Well, the interesting thing is they pulled Pith back up that corridor. Double smokes out. Freiburg's trying to play wide of it. This will hold off the rotations, but it relies on the fact that the armored players need to be extremely aggressive on B, and they've actually put one of the armored players, Steel, in the fake on the A side, which limits them a little bit against these M4s. They've done decent damage, though. Bolts finds his way through, picks up the M4 on the way by the corpse, and takes down Exist as a result. Missed shot. Pith isolated. Get Right and Freiburg need to go aggressive, and Freiburg goes in too soon. Get Right's not there to support. This is actually a very favorable situation now for Immortals. They've got 2 guns inside of the B site. Lucas is still going to be a pest onto Pith, and oh, the shot from far. It works out. Headshot, loose cannon. Get Right's got to go in, manages to isolate, knows he's far away, he's got the kit. There's no way Lucas gets there in time. Get Right saves the round.
Oh, very close though, wasn't it? Okay then, Lucas.
And takes him down as well afterwards. So 6-3, that was a decent effort, I have to say.
Yeah, very uncomfortable for an IP at that point. You could see what the fake was coming in there, using the 2 smokes towards the long corner to segregate any CTs that may be on that side of the map. Finding kills there as well, and actually going in towards the B site. Equal exchanges, they had the bomb down and a man advantage at one point as well. A thorn in their side was going to be Lucas dropping down from short with that Desert Eagle. He finds 1 kill, but Get Right holds his own and manages to find the kill required to get the full defuse in, and like he said, taking down the remaining terrorist player as well. But that does dent the economy of the Ninjas. 6-3 in their favor. A nice full buy going forward for Immortals. I think they're at 4th stage loss bonus right now. So that's $2,900 on top of the bomb going down in that previous round and the kill reward bonus as well. So they get 4 AKs, Henny with the AWP. The buy is yet to come in from Ninjas. I think this is a technical pause. Yes, that's confirmed. Yeah. But still money. It's not too bad. It's only Freiburg who's struggling a little bit. He's got $3,600. The rest of his teammates, they can drop a weapon over, Get Right with the save, then 4, and still 6K in the bank.
So a few technical pauses coming in so far. No tactical. Remember, we are under the new rules.
We've had 1.
We have had one.
We've had one.
Sorry.
Tactical.
They happen so quickly now. The 30 seconds, it actually keeps the flow, but the problem is when they start to get stacked up, like we saw at Pro League, that it can start to kill the momentum a little bit. Set up pretty straightforward. Another double op on NiP side. It's been working for them. This time Henny's going to have one to combat that, and he's going for the low drop fast shot toward mid. No, he's watching for a push, which, to be fair, NiP's not really done any. Steel's going to go out again to anchor off the B position. Freiburg gets to pit this time for free, so they play far more passively off the start of the round toward A Immortals than they have been doing in the past. More standard default. Still no cap pressure.
Yeah, NiP just sitting back, and like I said, without Immortals having the execution potential, this is absolutely fine. You're not hunting for the first frag at the start of the run. You're not really required to. If they're just doing defaults and just coming in 1 by 1 and trying to find picks, you don't really need to challenge them. You don't feel like there's a fear of having all the Molotovs and smokes locking the AWPers out. So far, they've had a pretty clean run of it. Henny, the AWPer for Immortals as well, known to be a very explosive. He's only got 2 frags so far. Round number 10, Dust 2 is famed as being the AWPer's playground. He hasn't really done anything at all as of yet. We need him to step up if Immortals want to get back into this game.
Good Molotov down toward the ramp. No pushing or rotating back toward the A site, but they've got 3 there already. It's encouraging. And the fact that they're rotating together at mid to look like a B split. And we do see a smoke get bounced out, so that's definitely more telling sign. Freiburg's going to find bolts. That'll take them off the A site. Without long, without any presence at that position, they've got to go on this B. And Exist again's waiting on Firebox. Second smoke goes out. He'll hear them walking forward now. Does he wait for them to rise to the top of the ramp? That's exactly what he's going to do rather than jump back down. Spots up Lucas, needs to reset his aim, does so successfully, and knows the second one was there. He heard the footsteps, but where's Phelps gone? He's got to be waiting on the inside of the smoke, so they won't push through carelessly. It will buy them time to get the bomb down inside of the site. Still down a man in this situation. Henny's going to get aggressive. You watch. He's going to go straight for the peak on the AWP, and it works. Freiburg still hunting for Phelps. He pulls him away, baits the aggro, and the AWP catches them off before they're able to rotate back in toward middle. And he can just sit a passive hold on this angle, but it's a little bit too aggressive, I have to say. They get it back down to a 3 versus 3, and he gives himself up to Forrest. This lets Exist almost for free at this point, rotate in toward the window, and all 3 of them are going to approach from the same position inside of mid. Steel prime position underneath, so on the boxes. Flashes come through. Phelps has to look away. He's lost his teammate. He's got to try and find this back, and Get Right's going to take them both.
There it is, a successful retake from NiP. Just as we call out Henny there, he finds 2 very influential frags. Actually gives them an opportunity to get to that B site once again. Problem is, though, Exist from that firebox, like he said, managing to get damage and a kill found, and at that point, Immortals struggling. Henny, like you said, had to go aggressive at the door, lands a successful shot. I completely agree with you. I don't think he had to go for the second one at that point. It was almost like NiP were waiting for him to make the next mistake. It came to them, and the retake works in their favor. Get right. Great game for him so far. Another great spray down with the M4A4 there. 7-3, bomb down once again there for Immortals. We are a maximum stage loss bonus, so plenty of money available, and a good shot from Henny, but quickly neutralized once again by Freiburg.
He's been doing very well at that position. One round only, that was round 4. We referenced it before that he's actually lost that duel, and it did turn into a round for Immortals, but since then, he's been flawless. Pith, speaking of, he's gonna find an op shot. Finally, they go for a cap pressure, and they do get bolts on toward the position at quad, but look how blind he is. Freiburg just able to walk back through. Takes down Lucas, bolts, and now it's just Steel remaining, 1 versus 4. A fairly quiet half since the start of this for Immortals.
Yeah, it's quite a puggy play style, I have to say. They're relying very heavily on the long spawns there, trying to see if they can get anything going at all. If that doesn't work out, they just rush up towards short, hoping to find rotations. NiP, you pointed out before, they're not really having to adjust anything. They just play the default setups here, moving the orbs around slightly. They're not having to go aggressive. We don't have the execution being presented to them at all here, so it's not really much you have to do. Just play your game, hit your shots, and they're doing it tremendously. Like you said, Freiburg as well. Great game towards long so far, and seems to be able to do it on the A side as well. 8-3, this time it will be an eco for Immortals. Yes, they have the maximum loss bonus, so no bomb going down in that previous round. So just Tech-9s, Desert Eagles, a few smokes to work with as well. This should be quite an easy run for the Ninjas along, but it is going to be an equal exchange for now.
Forrest goes down. That's actually a big loss to have. Steel winning that duel at middle is going to give them some options in this round. Doesn't quite get far enough forward to grab the gun. He's just worried, in fact, of the rotation coming out of the B site. Rightfully so, because if he tried to grab that rifle, Exist was there to capitalize. But man advantage they can play with. 2 already out the long doors. Even if they get around the corner, though, it's still a long battle to take. And an AWP staring them down. Tech-9s at that range, maybe not the most opportunistic weapons. Freiburg gets away from Carr as well. Likes to stay. I thought he was going to rotate away, keep it clean. Good shot, and he goes back to find Henny, sprays through. Better shot when he's blinded up. Phelps goes down, and Bolts is low. This should be converted. Bomb in the hands of Bolts. Going to try and rotate back and do anything else at this point in time because he knows there's no way to pass it long, and with Steel down at mid, it's been recovered. 3 players stay alive. Should end that way, hopefully, for NiP's sake, but Bolts is going to try and do otherwise with the Deagle in hand.
Yeah, throws his smoke towards CD spawn there, trying to lock someone in on the B side of the map. It's very unlikely he can get a bomb down here or even find a kill, but he has got the Desert Eagle. Can be deadly in the right hands as he edges up towards the catwalk here. Does have a chance to down Pip, but he beats him to the punch at that point. I think we have a tactical pause once more for Immortals at this point. Definitely required. The tactical depth of the game so far hasn't really impressed me. They're relying very heavily on the individual plays of their star players. So far, Henny, very quiet indeed. He's actually going to be on 5 kills. Not really what you expect for your star AWPer. Same story of Phelps as well. Another name we expect to be towards the top end of the scoreboard. He is, but he only has 6 kills. Not really getting anything going here whatsoever. I think it's 7 rounds in a row now for the Ninjas. They've got the double orb setup still rolling in their favor, and we need to see Immortals use this pause effectively. They need to start bringing more of a default there. See what the CDs are presenting to you. Smoke off key areas, let's get a smoke on Xbox, get some short control, then we go for some sort of execution. Maybe a drop down to CD spawn, or even just smoking the A site, molotoving CDs out of position. So far, they look way too comfortable, NiP. And we'll see whether Immortals can get back into this game. They need to start posting rounds at this point. 9-3, as we go into number 13, the unpause comes in. We have got the AWP available for Henny once more.
Bolts, Henny, Steel, Phelps, all going toward long immediately. Phelps will hold up to throw utility. They want to try and catch Freiburg moving. He's got them, though. He's downed them. He's burned a second one alive. They cannot win that battle. Even with the corner smoke to try and force him wide, he's still finding kills, and Pitt comes into the fold. They change the attention back in toward the corner, push out from middle. Everyone's going down. Phelps the last alive after throwing a utility. He's going to find his 2nd kill in the round. Can't necessarily find the E key on the AWP, but 1 versus 3. They're surrounding him from all approaches, and he's limited to just this dumpster.
So the tactical pause comes in, Matt, and what they come up with is what they've been trying for the last 5 or 6 rounds in the guns rounds, is using that long spawn. Problem is, NiP have got a set Molotov. They're throwing those doors at the start of the round. Freiburg's there, spraying them down as they come out as well, doing a lot of damage, burning them alive as well. I'm not sure that was the right call from the pause.
I think we're talking about Inferno coming back in and what map's going to leave, and a lot of people think Dust 2 needs to be updated visually, but you talk about the skybox being removed on A, that set Molotov, much quicker to throw. There's a smoke you can do there as well to hold them off. That favors the CTs. I think it's time, if we're going to do any changes, to remove the skyboxes on B. Give the Ts a chance to try and use the same utility to hold off the CTs in rotation, and then you've got equal spawn opportunity on both sides of the map.
That's what we had on Source, and that's what made it such an interesting map in that respect. But still, Phelps now going to be pincered from all sides. He finds a shot, though. Made it a little bit interesting there, but Pitt Staying true to form that, he finds the final kill, and it will be 10-3 here. Not really enough money to buy in this next round either. So here we go, that Molotov comes in. Look how easy this is for Freiburg. Yes, there's flashes coming in, but the T's have to go one by one. They're smoked out. Molotov dropped in front of them as well. I'm just not really sure that's the correct call after the timeout. Surely you want to think, okay, how are they beating us? Long seems to be where Freiburg's killing us every single time. Should we go there again? Give them another 3 kills, why not? And it will be number 14 coming in. They have forced Wallace, Matt. I can't say I disagree. At this point, he needs to start posting some more rounds. Problem is, Galil, Tech 9, 3 AKs, no nades to work with. Let's see if they can do anything about this.
This is big. Freiburg's throwing the Molotov, see no aggression. He's taking the absolute fight to them at long. He's pushed through, and he's got Lucas down as well. He's reading them like an absolute book. Throws the same set Molotov, sees no utility thrown to the corner this time, and it's telegraphed. They're likely not there. He goes so early, they have no response, and that's Henny and Bolts. With 1:21. In fact, there's about 1:30 when it started this way. Still on the clock in a 2 versus 5, now a 1 versus 5.
Yeah, this is the perfect adjustment for NiP. They know he's getting to the closing sectors now. They've been quite default in terms of their CD setup so far. Freiburg throws a spanner in the works, pushes long. We do get 1 consolation kill. It doesn't really matter at this point for Henny. If you can get a bomb down, that's certainly important. He's going to go for the long cross at this point. 4 versus 1. I'm sure the CD's will be ready for him. He actually has the opportunity to get the bomb down here. If he can find get right towards shore, doesn't even have to get the kill necessarily. He can just do the safe plant. Brings out the AWP. He fancies his chances here. Wants to go for the win, it seems.
This is the shot, though. That was his opportunity. He's got Freiburg. If he picked up the first as well, that could have been massive. 1 HP as he's managed to dodge that first flash, but now the Molotov comes out. It's a little bit late. Get right's inside of the site. Straightforward. 11-3 as we head into the last round of the first half.
Freiburg looking very confident here. You can see the terrorist caught in a horrible timing situation there. He jumps past the doors just as Freiburg comes out. He gets a second kill. Round over at that point. Forrest found a kill with the AWP as well. 11-3, Matt. This hasn't really lived up to the bill as we expected. Immortals look fantastic in the opening stages of this tournament, especially in the group stages 4-1, only losing to Astralis on this map in overtime. They're looking very flat today, not really turning up to what I would have expected from those results we saw earlier. So last round comes in, looking like it will be 12-3 here for the Ninjas, considering the buy Immortals have available. 2 Galils, an AK, and 2 pistols here. Not really much to work with. They will be in a default for now, but in terms of the tactical depth I've seen so far, it hasn't been good enough. They've been relying too heavily on the individual plays, and when that's not arriving, you're never going to get that deep in tournaments with this sort of mentality. You need to have tactics to fall back onto when all else fails.
Lucas is going to go quickly on the back of the flash with the Deagle. He's the one they want to send early to get the information. No one in mid. They push them back. That's the anticipation out of that, and as such can start to look toward Catwalk. Pith flashed off, fires in, and drops down. The Molotov slows it. They can't capitalize while he relocates. So they force a little bit of movement out of the defense this time, but still can't capitalize on it. And NiP's able to set into a pretty straightforward default. The exception being they've got 2 players on the A ramp rather than 1 inside CT.
Oh, gosh, that was a little bit too close for comfort there. But the good news is we have got shore control. We've barely seen this from Immortals at all. If they wanted to execute now, it would be difficult. They have 1 smoke and flashbangs. I think that's probably going to be their best bet. Still gets in a nice position here as well. They can hold a rotation. So what's the play? They're going towards B for a mid-split, or they could go CD spawn as well, considering our players on shore.
That's a risky jump round, wants to use the boxes for coverage. Steel goes aggressive, tags up Forrest as well, finds the kill. This opens them up, and they're splitting in from Catwalk. Finally some kills to go their way, as Henny's got 2, Freiburg and Pith down. Get right, waits though, and Goose pops out, can't find the second. And thankfully so for Henny, because he has the bomb. That goes down, and there's a chance the round ends in favor of NiP. Instead, they get their 4th, 11-4, though, still at halftime.
A nice play there on the last round. You can see they had an approach, they had an idea of what they were going to do. Once they got that short control, I think they were relying too heavily on those long spawns at the beginning of the half, and you can see that's why they've got themselves into this horrible scoreline, 11-4. I'm not sure they can bounce back, but hopefully they can, and we get a deeper game here in the first map of this best of 3.
Intel Extreme Masters Oakland is brought to you in part by Intel, HyperX, G Fuel, Kinguin, iBuyPower, Best Buy, Totino's, Acer, and Xfinity.
really convincing first half, I have to say, from NiP, and perhaps an overly flat half from Immortals. They've got to step it up. It's a best-of-3, sure, but they can't throw this one away this early.
I would agree. I said going into this one, the map pool actually favored Immortals, but not so sure now. The form we're seeing right now from the Brazilians isn't really exciting me at all. Looking very flat on that first half. Still not out of it, of course. 11-4 is certainly recoverable on Dust 2. Anything can happen on this map. But we do need to start seeing Felp step up. Henny as well wasn't really doing it for me in that first half. We're going to see what happens here in the pistol. Very important indeed. We'll have a look at the buy for the T's. 3 sets of armor. Get Right's going to be a utility player. And we have got Freiburg with 2 flashbangs as well.
And push already coming into B. This will be good information for Immortals. Bolts, or rather, excuse me, Phelps and Steel already in, but they've got the information based on Bolts at contact at long that they are already out that door. They're going to push with all 5 players NiP in that same position. So this will be to get the bomb down. No cat pressure with pistols, so to hold it from long, they're going to have to stay within the corridor itself. XP's good from range, but Block's not so much. Pit's already there. He's the one with the bomb. Watch quad. Lucas is in the corner. They know it as well. Nate goes in. Good damage onto him, but Bolts finds a kill in return. And this is suddenly looking good until Freiburg gets a late lurk through middle. Get right able to cross for free. Freiburg will hold Steel in toward. In fact, goes down at the hands of Pith when he wraps back in, but I was going to say hold Steel in toward the elevator. Now it's just Henny stuck at quad. He's been there the whole time. All 3 players facing him. They one-on-one, though, execute back in, and he gets the shot on Get Right. That could have been interesting if they found Pith as well.
Maybe getting ahead of themselves there. That definitely could have fallen apart for the Ninjas, but still a successful round overall. That was must-win for Immortals. Doesn't happen. They're going to have to force by here in a second. Very simple long approach from the Ninjas, saving that smoke for the deepest point of what you just say. Actually throw actually towards the mouth of CD Spawn instead of on the crossover. I like that approach. It means at least you're completely eradicating CD Spawn as being an issue. There can't be any gaps there. You just need to concentrate towards short, which you can flash off as well. So I think that's pretty cool. As we get in the second round, though, like I said, force buy required from the CTs. 3 of them towards long, but Get Right. He's hungry. Look for his first frag. Can't get it, though. Lucas takes him down with the deagle.
Shots from afar. Better shot back from Lucas into Pith, which seemed pretty straightforward on his spray down. That's going to bring it to a 3 versus 3 early on. Not a bad start in terms of economy damage from Immortals, but they've still got jobs to do. And no guns picked up, as they're well and truly out of reach and range from where the kills came in. Exist already on Catwalk. Quick smoke. Knows Phelps is wrapping in behind. Hears him coming. Shot through with the MAC-10 and spots the second on Xbox as well. This should encourage them to get bomb across it long.
Yeah, the reason Exist does that smoke is to kind of bait out that he couldn't possibly be on that side of it. Why would he? He's trying to smoke the CTs out. Works very nicely indeed. Finds a quick kill there. Forrest joins him as well. Just going to be Steel remaining, so it will seem like a promising round at the start there from Lucas. It does fall apart with some quick play and quick wit from Exist overall. Freiburg finds a final kill, 13-4. That was the force buy from the CTs, getting very close to match point now. So at this point, you would assume it's going to be a full eco from the Immortals, but it will make things 14-4. So, NiP going to stick on the SMGs. They know the Immortals can't really justify anything to this round. I think we did see Hemi actually saving a little bit more in teammates. He can get the AWP next round, but at this point, NiP farming cash. They're going to have so much to work with, such a bed of rounds. It can be a lot looser in that first gun round.
Good opportunity for Freiburg as they go up cat. Taps away correctly, finds Steel. Smartly realizes that there's a good chance they've wrapped one up toward long as well, so he backs away from that angle. And he does find Forrest, though. Put some pressure on, but they pushed all the way through the site. Exist already back down to the bottom of middle, and Freiburg just waits for that last remaining player that he anticipated. It's going to be 2 rounds to go already for NiP.
Indeed, and after the force buy in that second round, yes, you can buy weaponry, but you're certainly limited in terms of the utility available. You won't necessarily have kits. You'll have an AWP without any grenades at all. You won't have any incendiaries for any players here. So we're going to have 3 M4s, an AWP in the hands of Henny, and then a FAMAS with bolts. Difficult round they're going for. Like I said, with this bed of rounds and the SMGs available as well, you want to go for something fast and loose here. Punish the CTs for having less utility. And it looks like it could be just that coming in straight towards mid. 4 players for the Ninjas. Going to be pushing through. Exist leading the charge with the MAC-10.
Just inside the smoke, able to turn back around in time, but gets caught off by Exist. Can't capitalize to find 2. Even with the M4, but Steel's outside, does find 1 low HP. So 1-for-1 trades all the way through, and NiP gets favorsome out of this because now they've got the B site to work with and isolated both players towards CT. One thing they don't anticipate is Freiburg getting caught by Lucas all the way toward T-spawn.
Still a huge advantage here. I was about to say for Forrest as he misses the first shot. Now it's interesting. Man advantage for the CTs, but no kits available as of yet. They need to act fast here.
And information from Forrest as he spots 2 coming out from CT. That confirms where the 2 remaining players are. They already had the information toward T-spawn. Missed shot again. Gets back inside of the site, and as you say, staying alive is almost good enough in this because they don't have the kits. Forrest continues to get aggressive, Get Right, baited in, flashback out, finds the first, spots the second, loose bullet, gets the headshot as he falls down, and suddenly it's just Henny remaining. That AWP's got to be held on to. He'll wait to try and catch Forrest off, knowing that he's likely going to try and take that away from him, but that's it, round over. Map point already for NiP.
Absolutely. Like I said, you can afford to be a bit loose on those first gun rounds. You've got a couple of SMGs there. You know the CTs are limited. They send 4 players towards the mid doors there. Equal exchanges just wasn't good enough for the CTs in those situations. They needed to have the man advantage. They got it towards the B side, but still no kits. Couldn't really take their time in that retake. Had to act fast. Forrest missing a couple of shots, but his teammate Get Right rises to the occasion and finishes things off. 15-4. Been a very one-sided affair so far. As we go into potentially the last round here, we have a FAMAS available, make it 2, a UMP and a Deagle. And of course, the saved AWP in the hands of Henny. A lot of pressure on his shoulders now to keep the dream alive, at least on Dust 2.
And he gets aggressive at long with it to spot through both doors. Freiburg can Get Right, meanwhile already clearing out the bottom tunnels. Close pressure on the other side of mid. Flash through is going to have to be very important. Get Right. If he doesn't check all the way into the corner, Lucas will capitalize. And if he does, he's susceptible of going down to Phelps. So quick flash, second one as well if they peek too early, but he's caught himself.
Yep.
Somehow it may save him because he doesn't go through. When the smoke comes out, they find one. Freiburg's in the corner, secondary flash. Now Phelps can strike, but gets away before the second bullet comes back at him. And that brings Steel out. And they make it work as a result because that could have been hugely problematic if they all get traded. But look at Pitt. Low HP, they've slipped in, they've covered it off, they're gonna rotate over. And one bullet would take down 2 players inside of mid. Phelps and Steel, 19 and 15. And Pith goes for the safe plant as a result, sprays in. And there's still a chance for a push through from Get Right on 18 if he times this correctly. So despite that they're up a man, Immortals are in a very tight position as NiP take control. Good flash in, Steel takes down Forrest. Get Right's gotta go because Pitt's down. They can get on the defuse, and better still, they can just take down Get Right with the AWP.
Yeah, a little bit of a sloppy finish that round from NiP there. Missing smokes, not actually landing shots required. Get Right a little bit too late on the flank as well. So there it is, Immortals do manage to find a few kills required and keep at least 1 round in their favor. It's going to be the double orb setup here. It's going to take 10 rounds in a row here on the CT side of Dust 2. Not a single mistake can be made. There's still money available for NiP. They'll probably be forcing into this one. They've got to finish this off right here, right now. But still, Immortals now with something to build upon.
Forrest looking for the shot, doesn't find it. Nade used to cross. And then fan out to the wings and cover off the default for NiP. Pith again to clear lower. And they'll leave Exist once more to watch for a push through. No presence, no aggression at long this time as well. The utility thrown over, including a decoy. You can see it on our lovely simplified radar. But they'll likely try and attain Catwalk at this point in time and then have the execution available to them.
Well then, this will be more classic counter-struggle we're used to seeing in the top echelons of Dust 2. Get this short control, see what you can do towards long, let's see if you can have any presence, push the CDs back towards the side, for example, then you can go into one of these executions, which is designed to take these double orb setups down. They know they'll be running it as well, so they have the smokes, they actually have 4 of them, and Molotovs as well. That's what we're used to seeing from these top teams on Dust 2. We didn't see it at all from Immortals, that's why I really think they struggled here. Maybe a long retake coming in as well. Let's go where he sets up the smoke for the corner. The flashes will come in. The bomb's still down though, so not committing necessarily just yet.
Now the utility exposed. Splashes and smokes in. Oh, cover the corner. Lucas is there. Good read from NiP, but not the kills to follow it up. Lucas finds both, even with Exist having full information and awareness. It's on to Freiburg on Cat. He's found by Henny. Far too comfortable out toward long, having lost both players that were designed to pressure him. It's on to Pith. 1 versus 5. Go a little bit further. Good shot to find Bolts, but he's immediately traded back.
You could see how that was designed by NiP. They were smoking the long corner there twice to segregate any CTs towards long. Unfortunately for them, though, this is Lucas on your screen right now. He actually steps up tremendously there, not in the pit where they would expect him. He's in the tight corner there and finds 2 kills. So the flashes come in, they Molotov the blue bin, but unfortunately can't find the frag required on that tight angle as they come out. So Immortals finding round number 6 here and broken the economy of the Ninjas as well. They don't really need to force buy into any of these situations. They need 1 round here. You might as well do it with a full buy AWP, the grenades you need. No need to force the situation here. So it's going to be Deagles, a couple of P250s as well, no nades. Pretty much a redundant round. If they can get the bomb down, I'd be very impressed. And it looks like they'll be faking the bomb towards long, while the rest of the team actually head out towards mid.
Deal shot from Freiburg, not successful. Did spot the shoulder of Phelps. Couldn't clip through the box to find the headshot. As Setchi's left alive to do further damage. Flash through from his teammate. Takes down Pith as well. 3 quick kills for him. Very convincing. Henny, fast shot onto Forrest. Bolts takes down Get Right with the aid of advantage from the shadow. It's probably the most favorable shadow in the game still, that first door at long.
Yeah, CSGO is funny like that. You can't see your own shadow, so sometimes you forget that's actually
It's probably good, because I get scared of my own shadow, Henry.
I don't have one, so.
You're a shadow of a man in general.
Indeed, indeed. Well, here we go then, round number 23. We do, I guess it's interesting, we didn't have the AWP coming from Ninjas. Not necessarily required, but it's certainly the strongest approach from the T side. So they're going to have 5 AKs. Not all utility required. I've got 5 smokes, only 1 Molotov though. Molotovs can be very powerful and dusty, especially towards that A site. We'll see what they bring to the table here. Another default coming in for now. Obviously clearing out lower B, flashing players off the mid doors. You maybe want to smoke Xbox as well, but you can get up without it. That's great as well. As they get the short control gathered, they'll be flashing this corner and trying to pre-fire any AWPers that could be there.
Smoke already in place. A little bit early, that's going to dissolve any second, so flashes as well to try and hold off the push from NiP. Starting to look a little bit reliant on this strategy, but it's going to be the same thing. Isolation smoke not yet thrown toward the corner long, but Steel's elected to move inside of it. He's going to play ramp with the AWP. Molotov's going out behind him. In fact, they land perfectly and extend over the wall, so he's got to go back to an open angle. Thankfully, Phelps is up to the challenge. And Steel does find the shot onto Exist, down to just 2 again. NiP, they're gonna have to either show up with heroics individually to save themselves, or they're gonna have to change up the strategy because this is getting countered well. Forrest finds 1 shot, down he goes to Lucas, drop in from Get Right, and he's found by Bolts.
Well, this is from one extreme to the other. From what we saw from Immortals, very loose and default set gameplay. This has actually been set pieces across the board from NiP so far. They tried the long take before. This time it's a full A execution, but Phelps, he mows them down. They don't actually account for that drop-down position there by CT Spawn. So managing to hold them off for another round here. 15-8, we are starting to close the gap. Still a lot of work to do, 7 in a row required. That's going to be 5 PD50s here for NiP. Heading towards B, it seems. Going to be going down towards lower. Don't have much to work with apart from a flashbang. I assume that'll be used from Exist towards the top and middle, over those mid doors and trying to overwhelm any CTs be waiting for them. The problem is, very defensive setup from the CT, so that actually will be in vain almost.
Phelps, good position. Spots the gun barrel of the pistol, but Freiberg's got his teammate down. He's got to be careful not to overextend. Multiple players there in Pith. He capitalizes as a result. Steel's watching if they push out any further to grab the guns, though. But it's going to be Bomb rotating back around so long. Good damage in, 4 HP for Steel. It is an AWP, 1 of 2 that's left in the round. So we can still find shots, but 4 HP against pistols is promising as well with the movement mechanics. Down to 3 remaining because Lucas finds the kill in the the AK.
Still very difficult here for NiP. Don't have the grenades to work with, haven't salvaged a single weapon. Here we've got Henny and the back platform of B. Should be a shooting range at this point. Nails the first shot, waiting for the second to run into his crosshair. Freiberg thinks better of it and goes back to lower B.
At this point, he's trying to force out rotations to get a bomb plant anywhere that he can.
Oh, flash from the own teammate.
Steel fires into that. Again, Steel's on 4 HP. Lucas waiting. Us waiting as well. It's not likely he'll be able to achieve much with this. Does manage to get back onto Catwalk. He rushes it fast enough. He should have the information exactly that there's 1 on B, 2 in mid, and get a plant for NiP as a result.
He could win this as well, by the way. It is possible.
If he hit that shot, I would have been more convinced he would have more time to reset for the second with Steel low. Jumps again, knows he's an elevator, but that baits him to Lucas on Catwalk.
Well, there it is. 5 P250s does equate to NiP getting 2 kills and the bomb down as well. Could have fallen apart there. That flank from Get Right coming in, taking the AWP down to 4 HP. I thought that was the moment that could have gotten the win here, but it's not meant to be. We are at maximum loss bonus here with that bomb going down. This is one of the first time we'll see a nice full buy coming from the Ninjas here since they've had this string of defeats in the terms of the CTs gaining rounds. So AWP comes in for Forrest. A full buy here, the Molotov to smoke required. We've seen a couple of executions so far, but just not checking some key angles here. That's what's letting them down. The execution is really on point. They get to the positions required. Nades are perfect, but just not checking that one position that eludes them every single time.
Freiberg holds it top mid while they clear out the bottom of the tunnels. Exist again, the one to be the anchor. Good utility still left on the CT side. I know it's early, but they haven't used it to cover off the choke points immediately. They've used position instead, so they still have 3 smokes, 2 Molotovs, and a load of flashes to work with. Kits on all but Henny, AWP player. And the single op this time does mean there is not 1 on the A site, which could be a difference in the approach. Mind you, it's not like the AWP's been much shutting them down. It was last time Phelps in this exact position when they went for the drop strategy and didn't cover him off. The smoke was just below him. It didn't go all the way into the corner.
Well, we have got, once again, short control obtained by NiP. Get Right towards long. Really classic stuff so far. Get Right normally comes in for the late flank. He's going to try and catch rotations here. We've got all the smokes, all the Molotov required. We could see a fake back towards mid doors, a possibility as well.
Same strategy again. Phelps waiting for it. Flash out early. Trying to catch them off, time it when the smoke comes in. They go down, they know he's there this time. Pith reads it, double flash, here's the second one. Bounce knows he wanted the gun redrawn, takes the kill, and Bolts falls. This time they've got control. Isolation smoke toward long, they rotate around it. It does give Lucas one shot, which means he still has the pick for the retake, but get right in mid. Takes down Steel, and this is looking convincing. This could be the nail in the coffin. Forrest certainly thinks so. Takes down Lucas and Henny out toward mid, get right waiting. Misses the shot, game over. Map goes the way of NiP, 16-9 in the end.
Yeah, you could see that was the right approach. They're getting the map control required to see Zomri being aggressive at all, and the execution was perfect. They just checked that one position that actually was the problem before. They get it, nailed that first kill, and it's a pretty easy game for NiP overall. I don't think the scoreline does the game justice to how well they played in the first half. So Immortals, to give them credit, did get back into it somewhat. Maybe that's a bit of a warm-up going to the next map, where things get interesting when we move on to Cobble.
Absolutely. With that said, we'll send it over to the desk. Alex, Yanko, and Dazed, you're new. I had to get you at least once. I'm sorry, man.
We're not on speaking terms right now. Could you let me know
He
that,
really
Alex?
did throw you under the bus. It was horrible. But to understand exactly where things went wrong for Immortals, I think we have to start with that from the casters. I don't think that scoreline does it justice for how well the first half went for NiP. There were the words out of Henry G's mouth. And I'll start with you, Yanko. Does that sound like something that kind of rings true to you? It was a sterling CT side?
Absolutely. Even the fact that early on, Immortals actually got to, after the first gun round, they got to string 3 rounds together. But after that, it was all NiP. And you could see the problem with Immortals at the moment. It's very, you know, default style, people going for plays. They were trying to utilize their spawns a couple of times pretty much, but it didn't work because NiP was just very much on point individually. You can see that they have like poor calls when we were talking about getting long control as well. They've been really solid all around.
I mean, just 4 rounds, Dazed, that they managed to accumulate on that T side for the Brazilians. They didn't really give them a way in.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was just a matter of time. We were all waiting for NiP to get that one T-side round when it was 15-4. But NiP's CT side on Dust 2, that gave me a lot of confidence that they could play this map like against anybody in the world. That was like on the level of SK from what I saw. The way they changed their setup, the way they took calculated risks, I absolutely love when the Opper just has a pistol on that second round after winning pistol. If they get that bomb down, Pit having that op third round, I like that a lot. And their risk didn't even come and help them that much. When Exist was boosted on the box and they had 1B, it wasn't like, I believe they won that round, but it didn't work out great. The B guy still died without getting one. They still had to play a retake setup. And the time they sent 4A and only had 1B, that didn't work out for them either. So their risk didn't even work out for them, really, but they were still always they were able to overcome that. And I think to play Dust 2 at that type of a level, you need to take those risks, and I really liked what they did, especially the long holds by Freiburg.
I mean, Freiburg was a huge factor. I mean, if you take a look at the scoreboard, it would tell you exactly that. 26 frags for Freiburg. Admittedly, he was shooting some people through those double doors with that P250. I know Reddit's going to have seen that one. Damn you, community. But Yanko, as a whole, as you wrap up Dust 2, Freiburg, the big takeaway from Daze, is there anything else that we're going to be taking away from this? He says that they can compete on a world-class level on Dust 2.
For sure. For me, it was interesting the way they approached the end of the game and they got those 15 rounds because they kept going for that A take, right, with the smokes and the Molotov that they throw on the box, which is really good. And I actually liked that. Even though it didn't work, I thought the call was good. Every time the call was good, but the execution was lacking. They didn't go in together at the same time. They were getting picked off. So in the end, they just run the same strat for like the 3rd time. And it works, and it's an interesting approach that I think maybe more teams should adopt.
What, just kind of keep throwing yourself into the same scenario and hopefully it will work in the end?
I think it's hard in-game to differentiate at times. Did you lose the round because the call was bad or the execution was bad? And I think NiP was aware that the call is good, like that's the counter to what Immortals were running on their CT side. It was just a matter of doing it properly, and they did manage to do it 3rd time around.
Yeah, I mean, Daze, is that something that you kind of see as a bright light, do you think?
Oh, I absolutely agree with Yanko here, and I've actually been criticized for it when I used to play, is I would say, okay, this is how they're playing. This is what should work against it. Let's do it. And even if it doesn't work, you know, people call me crazy because I'm like, no, that's what we need to do. If we're doing anything else, it's going to hurt us, you know, because we're going into what they want us to do and their setup. So I completely agree with that.
This was actually the round I picked out, round number 13, because it shows like what Sam mentioned, how Freiberg in that long take, how he is, you see how he, even though he's flashed, he's pushing towards pit, because that's the most important thing. You need to get a player in pit if you're fighting for long, so you can establish those crossfires. And you can see the Molotov flying in as well. As he gets there, you can see the protocol that NiP has to go for that. They lost around once because it was, I think, Gatright who was there, and he didn't go all the way through. They were kind of caught in between. So this time they were committed. They did a great job, and just shows how Immortals go for that take because they have the spawn, but it gets completely shut down.
Countermeasures in place.
And you're exactly right. The one round they did lose on that long take was because Freiberg didn't have a good spawn, and Phelps got into the pit with an ump and was able to get that kill. And I don't think they got a kill from long after that, but they forced them back, were able to take map control and things of that nature. But I think one of the staples of a really good CT side Dust 2 team is how they handle that fast long A, because it's just such a strat that you see in every single Dust 2 game. There's not going to be a Dust 2 game where you probably won't see that at least a couple times, and NiP handled that very, very well.
Forcing Immortals to find another avenue, another route, which we saw didn't work out too well for the Brazilians. We have got Cobble up next. The desk did expect to see this end in 2 unless Immortals could get Dust 2 under their belt. They didn't. We'll be finding out how Cobble plays out. We'll be telling you exactly why that the desk is leaning towards NiP after our break. So don't go anywhere, and Cobblestone is coming up next.